Good afternoon, and welcome to Lean 101 for Healthcare CIOs, a complimentary webinar from healthsystemCIO.com. Just some housekeeping before we get started. My name is Anthony Guerra. I'm the editor-in-chief of healthsystemCIO.com, and I'll be your moderator today. We encourage you to ask questions, which you can do at any time by typing them in the lower right-hand corner of your screen in the Q&A box. Leave the default set to all panelists. We'll be taking those later in the program, but you can send them in at any time. You can download the deck by using the URL in front of you. I'll send it out in the chat box, and there's also a shortened slide deck URL at the bottom of each slide. And we are recording today's event, so we will have an archive available, usually within 2 business days, if not sooner. You'll get an email when it's ready, and a separate registration is required. We're going to go about 45 minutes today. First, we're going to hear from our featured speaker, Robert Slepin, Director of EHRs with Johns Hopkins Aramco Healthcare, and then we'll have our Q&A with Robert. So without further delay, I'm going to turn it over to Robert Slepin. Robert, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Anthony. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here and speak with your audience today about Lean for Healthcare CIOs. And there we go. Okay. A little bit of a delay in the slide. So just a little bit about me. I'm calling you from Saudi Arabia, where I am working for Johns Hopkins Aramco Healthcare as the Director of Electronic Health Records. I've got a background as a healthcare CIO and a passion for Lean. I've been on a Lean journey now for about 4 years. I'm not an expert, but I've got some good experience applying Lean in healthcare in multiple organizations, so it's a privilege for me to share some of my thoughts today and guidance to other healthcare CIOs that are starting or thinking about starting their journey, or other IT leaders in this space. So a little bit about Johns Hopkins Aramco Healthcare. We're a new 1-year-old joint venture between Saudi Aramco, a world leader in energy, and Johns Hopkins Medicine. And we are dedicated to serving the healthcare and wellness needs of the employees and beneficiaries of Saudi Aramco throughout the kingdom, which numbers over 350,000 population and growing rapidly. Here, I'm just kicked off an electronic health record project earlier this year, and we're applying Lean philosophy and techniques in that. So today, the learning objectives for discussion are, first of all, to understand the critical success factors to identifying process waste and reducing every workflow to its bare essentials. I'd like to define Lean and its origin, help you to recognize at least 2 forms of waste, identify a couple Lean tools, and be able to discuss one way to start exploring or adopting Lean yourself in your organization. So what is Lean? And this is a simple definition, which is it's about providing better value for customers, and that can defined by the customer, whether that's lower costs, faster execution, better service delivery, higher quality, or some combination of these. It's about increasing value, and it starts with a focus on the customer first. So the step 1 in adopting Lean is to know who is your customer. Second, understand how your customer defines value, not you, but your customer. And then focus your key processes in your organization to continuously increase that value proposition. Don't stop. Continue to pursue perfect value. And perfect value is, by definition, no waste at all. And what process that we know of doesn't have plenty of waste that could be eliminated and taken out to increase value to a customer? So the kinds of wastes that we're talking about in Lean vernacular, there's commonly 7 wastes and several. They're here: overproduction, waiting, and more. Today I'm going to be focusing in the presentation on several, including waiting, transportation, overprocessing, and error correction, or defects. So why Lean? What's its origin? It came from Toyota. Lean is actually a term that's used to describe Toyota's business system and production system, and it was coined in the late 1980s by a team from MIT headed by Jim Womack, who was studying motor vehicle program. He co-authored a very popular book called Lean Thinking. So what's unique and compelling about Toyota? Why this big thing about Toyota, and why would we want to emulate them and adopt Lean, as we call it? And if you just look at the numbers here, and this is the net profit in billions of Toyota in recent years compared to global competitors, and we could plot the same data over a period of decades, the numbers speak for themselves. Toyota is one of the world's leading companies, one of the most successful companies by any measure, and they have done some things very, very special there for many decades, and it's been a cause for academic research and study, and many businesses and organizations worldwide looking to Toyota, the Toyota way, for inspiration and information, not for copying and pasting what Toyota does, but to learn and adapt and adopt the Toyota way. And this came from the Toyota website, and it's more than tools. There's a common misconception that Lean is about firing people or just cutting costs or doing value stream mapping, but it's a lot more. It's not about firing people or cutting costs. It's about eliminating waste, yes, but it's even more than that. There's a whole philosophy, set of principles and values that comprise the Toyota way, and it has to do with putting the customer first to really understand deeply the value and drive towards it, and also putting people first, your own employees and stakeholders, and respecting them, engaging them to continuously improve the processes of your organization, the value streams, the streams of work that flow value from inputs through the process of your organization to the ultimate output to the customer that are what the customer wants from your organization. So one misconception about Lean is that it only applies to manufacturing when in fact it applies to any industry, including healthcare or IT or healthcare IT. It's also not a short-term cost reduction program. It's anything but that. So if you're looking for that, don't turn to Lean, because Lean is really a long-term commitment. It's truly a journey. It's a way of doing business. It's a way of thinking and acting and managing and leading an organization. It is not a project or a program. It's transformational, and a lot of people call their Lean programs transformation initiatives. It's also not just a set of tools like value stream maps or A3s or Gemba or waste walks. While those are important tools that are very helpful and necessary to adopt Lean, but it's a lot more than that. So Lean can actually even help a CIO in healthcare or another industry be successful in many ways. Today's healthcare CIOs face a multitude of really incredible challenges, cutting costs to be more competitive in light of revenue reductions, improving service internally and externally to patients in terms of help desk, implementing major upgrades of systems. There is a number of competing objectives. More than ever before, CIOs are under enormous pressure to deliver more value themselves to their customers and their organizations, and to partner with clinicians and administrators in their organizations to be able to wring more value, deliver more value out of the core healthcare and population health processes of the integrated delivery network. So CIOs are managing by objectives traditionally, but Lean is a different way for a CIO to approach management, because it's not only managing to goals or objectives, but also by the means. It's starting with respecting and engaging people at all levels of the organization, especially the front line, where the work is really done and where you can really get a deep understanding of what is happening that is causing waste to remain in the processes and value to be slowed or defects to creep in, errors to creep in and become defects ultimately. It's at that front line where we have our best opportunity to get the facts that allow us to drive continuous improvement, and it's working with our people who are very smart and knowledgeable to put them to work, challenge them to be part of the process as well. And it's pursuing perfect processes with these people. And lastly, it's about technology, intelligent automation. It's not automating junk, but it's taking a good process and looking ways to make it even better. So as an example, what IT department doesn't have challenges with controlling provision of security access privileges to its users? A manager says, I have a new employee starting next week that needs access privileges to electronic health record and general ledger. IT has a process that it uses to take in that request, multiple handoffs, various steps, and then at the end of the day, the user gets his privileges. So a process approach is going to be looking at the details of who's responsible, what is the sequence of steps and timings, how are we going to measure success, how are we actually performing today, how should we be performing, comparing the two, is there a gap, what do we need to do to improve? These questions need to be asked on a regular basis. And after the process is executed for each cycle, how do we measure how fast we delivered the request? Was it accurate? How satisfied was the requester? That's a feedback loop to the people who are managing the process and operating the process to know how they're doing. Are they on track? Are they within control? Is there an opportunity for improvement? I'll give you another example. Business intelligence, data, and reporting are very hot today. So hospital CEO asks the IT group, we need to reduce costs by 30% by 2020 to be financially viable. Information is needed now to support strategic decisions about our future direction. We need 2-week turnaround time for critical and high priority report requests, ASAP. Common management response, what do? We get into a room and we brainstorm. What projects or requests should we stop working on to make room for that request? Let's hire more people. Let's just simply ask our people to work harder, or let's buy new technology. This is pretty typical. An action item list is a common response in management today. But is it really effective? Is it the most effective thing we can do? How do we really know any of this is going to work? In some ways, it's just like shooting darts at a board and hoping if we throw enough solutions to the problem, something hopefully will stick. A lean approach in tackling this problem, if the answer really isn't straightforward, if we look at this challenge from the CEO and say, wow, that is difficult. It's not impossible, but very difficult. We don't know a consulting firm we can hire to do that. We don't know how to do this. We don't know anyone who could do that. A lean approach is going to be different. It's going to be thinking about our vision and direction. It's going to be looking at current conditions and future target conditions and figuring out what obstacles stand in the way from getting from our current state to the future state. Let me take you through this simple example. And to some extent, this is based on some real-world experience of mine in the last several years working as CIO for an integrated delivery network in the U.S., where we had just gone live with electronic health record, and we're working on improving our reporting processes for population health and cost reduction. So this is a fiction, but modeled after reality. So the first step in this particular lean thinking approach, and I'm adapting it from Mike Rother, who's a mentor for me, is to ask, let's start with what is our vision and direction. We always want to start with that in a lean approach to guide what we're doing. So our vision for our healthcare system here is, let's say, it's to improve community health and to deliver personalized patient care the best possible at an affordable cost. Most community hospitals, say, probably have a mission or vision statement similar to that. That's our long-term direction. That's years in the future. We could spend many, many years pursuing this ideal state of constantly improving health and health care. So it's a direction setter for the entire organization, including the IT staff. So we know that's the vision of where we're headed. The challenge that we have from the CEO to the CIO and the reporting and data team is priority 1 management report requests available within 1 week with no errors. And the executive team would like this accomplished within 1 year. So the IT team looks at this and says, well, we don't know how to do this. Is it impossible? No, we think it's possible. This is very challenging. We're going to have to discover our way to do this. So they decide to adopt a lean approach that they've been trained in to do this. So challenge is now clear. A lean thinking approach now will say, well, what's happening now? Let's look at our current situation. We now know our vision. We have a direction in terms of a challenge. The challenge is about a year out. It's something that's not too far out so we can see it. It's close enough in that you know, we've got enough time now to do something about it. It's within reach. Our current condition we can assess through a process analysis, and there are methods and tools that are taught in Lean to do this, and I'm going to abbreviate it for you, given the limited amount of time. We can go and see ourselves what's going on the front line. Now, report writing is not a manufacturing operation with cars going in assembly lines, so for us to really see what report writers or developers or programmers are doing, we can watch them, but we probably also want to talk to them and ask some questions and find out what's going on, and also look at some of the metrics for how many requests are coming in and when are they going out and what are the priorities, what are they, you know, let's find out what's going on in the current state. And so when we do that, we might come up with a process map, and this is oversimplified, but here we have a request that comes in, write me a report. It might be assigned by the manager, or the developer might take it himself without the manager intervening and go right into development and test, and the user eventually will accept it. For this particular organization, there's a lot of variability in the process. The request may never actually, there's a backlog of requests, so it may never actually get acted upon. And the amount of time it takes is highly variable, anywhere from 3 days to never. Requests come in through many different mechanisms, whether email, change request system, a drive-by, which is a user cruising by the desk or meeting you in the hallway and asking you to do something, or elsewhere. So this is a high-level view of the process. Here's some other facts about the current condition as we look at this example. IT customers say they have overall low satisfaction with the reporting services. There's over 1,000 requests that are open in the queue, most of them not being worked on. An employee survey of all 10 report developers says their stress level is high. I wonder why. There's a data and reports governance committee, but attendance is sporadic. The work priorities are set according to who screams the loudest, and developers accept requests lots of different ways. None of them follow completely a published standard process for how they do their work. 1/4 of the reports are being returned to users for rework, and 3/4 are lower priority level requests. Sound familiar? A lean thinking approach. Now that we understand the current condition, and there's some challenges here, we've got a long way to go to reach that challenge that's a year out. So a year out is, you know, it's kind of hard to go from where we are to where we want to be here. That seems like a big stretch. So what should be happening, let's set an achievable stretch target condition that's maybe, let's say, 30, 60, I'm going to pick 90 days out, okay, something that we can sink our teeth into that is a good step along the way towards that 12-month goal. So I'm going to work with my reporting manager and supervisor, and we'll talk to some of the staff too, and we've agreed in this case to a challenge or a target condition. We want the report developers within 3 months to be following a standard development and quality assurance process and only working on requests that are assigned by their manager, not drive-bys. This means 100% we'll measure success at the end of 3 months. If we have 100% compliance with standard work process for development, no more than 10 defects during the first quarter, no drive-by requests in process during the last month of the quarter, customer satisfaction level we want to increase to 3 on a scale of 1 to 5, and we want the employee stress level to be a 2, which is not perfect but pretty good on average by the last month. That's a challenge. We think that's achievable. Again, we don't know exactly how we're going to get there over the next 90 days, but we think we can. So we now have this hypothesis. Now we need to run a set of experiments because we learned in Lean that it's really based on the scientific method applied to management. We're really focusing on data and facts and experimentation. We want to apply the Deming or short cycle, the PDCA, the Plan, Do, Check, Act. It's really scientific method at work in a business organization. These are experiments. We're going to do single factor experiments because we really don't know We don't know exactly what to do, so we're going to change one thing. We're going to test one thing at a time. So before we run an experiment, we need to figure out what to test. So we need to ask ourselves, what's now preventing the developers from being able to work according to that target condition? Well, lots of things, okay? Lack of adherence to standard work, lots of requests, inadequate tools, you name it. Let's just pick one of these because we can only work on effectively one thing at a time. I'd rather do one thing really well, and besides which I want to have a hypothesis here and control my experiment. I'm going to test one thing, work on it, and see how it goes, and then I can understand cause and effect relation to see how I did. So we're going to look at the report developers. We think the report developers should not be setting their own priorities. They should be getting priority direction from management. That seems like a low-hanging fruit, a quick step that we can take to improve this process. So we now need to figure out, now that we have this obstacle, we need to figure out what's going on and what we need to do. So we're going to run an experiment. Well, it's a plan, do, check, act cycle, or PDCA cycle number 1. And in this case, we're not really sure what to do yet because we don't have enough information. So our plan is the CIO and the reporting manager are going to meet with the team on the front line to learn why they're accepting a request directly from users. And our target for this experiment, if we are successful, if the hypothesis is valid, is that we will understand the causes of drive-by requests. So here's what we're going to do. We have this record of PDCA cycles. We know we're going to need to run lots of experiments. So we're going to go ahead and chart our first experiment. It's going to be next Monday. It's next Monday morning, 8 o'clock. We're going to meet with the reporting team and discuss the need to stop drive-bys. That'll be our step. What do we expect from this experiment? Well, we're just learning here. We're just going and seeing for ourselves. We're going to learn why the developers are accepting drive-bys. So Monday morning comes around. We meet with the developers. We asked why the drive-bys are occurring. We listened, and they said, it's hard for us to say no to customers. Our developers are very people-oriented, and they're kind of shy, and they really don't want to say no. Well, that makes sense. I didn't realize that until I asked. But now that we know that, we're going to come up with another experiment. On Tuesday, we're going to go back to the developers at 8 o'clock in our morning huddle, and we're going to give them a standard message to say to a customer or a user when they drive by, you know, thank you very much for coming by. We have a standard process. Please, you know, I'd love to be able to help you. Would you please contact the help desk and fill out this request form, and I promise you we will put it in the queue, and et cetera. So our goal for this is no drive-bys. We're hoping by implementing the standard message that we can achieve no drive-bys. So what happened? On Tuesday afternoon, the revenue cycle director drove by, walked by the reporting team's cubes, and he submitted a request. So what we learned in discussion with developers is the director comes to their morning huddle and makes requests on a daily basis. So we weren't aware of this. So on Wednesday morning, we decided we're going to have a talk with the revenue cycle director and ask him to stop driving by. So we did that, and we expected that he would not come by anymore, and he agreed. So he stopped driving by, and we realized that maybe we need to set expectations with other users. So we then, on Thursday, sent a message out to the whole user community, informing them of our standard process. And we expected, again, to eliminate drive-bys. And then we found out later on that we were not successful. We still had drive-bys coming from a systems analyst in human resources, and we found out he was just down the hall, and the door was open to the reporting area, and he would just come in casually every day, and he was kind of buddies with the reporting writing team and would just drop work on their doorsteps. And again, the report writers had trouble saying no. So we decided to run another experiment. On the next day, we locked the front door of the office to the IT team, and our hypothesis was that analysts would no longer drive by, and that's in fact what happened. So at this point, we're now at 0 drive-bys, and we've had 5 or so PDCA cycles, and we're now going to monitor this performance metric on a daily basis to just make sure it stays and sustains. So we'll keep it on our daily huddle board and monitor it and just make sure it stays within control and start working on another obstacle on our way to success. So here you see in 1 week we have it appears we've gotten pretty good control over this one issue. It's 1 week doesn't tell the whole story. We're going to have to watch it for a while, but we'll continue to monitor it, and if there's other issues that come along, we'll improve. In the meantime, we're going to pick another obstacle and start experimenting our way to improving. In this case, we might decide we want better prioritization process at the governance committee, so maybe we're going to work on that next. Systems development lifecycle, maybe we'll work on standardizing on that. Oftentimes when you're starting on improving processes in IT or any other organization, what you find is you really don't have standard work. And so without standard work, it's really hard to improve because you really have chaos. So oftentimes what you're doing in Lean, to start with, is you're defining what the value is you need to create, and you're actually standardizing the process to allow you to have a platform for ongoing improvement. Okay, so a couple examples here, and we saw in the reporting example issue with the waste of rework or correction when reports were returned to IT because they had the wrong specifications. We saw over-processing because reports were being worked on that shouldn't have been because they were lower priority. And we saw waiting as well, customers waiting endlessly. A number of wastes that were getting away of the work of the team and destroying value from the customer perspective. And we were working on ways to eliminate that, and over a period of time, hopefully that particular team will reach its goal. It'll reach its target condition within a quarter, hopefully, and then set another target condition for the next quarter and aspire to that, and so on until they get to the end of the year and hopefully declare victory. So that's one Lean story based on real experience. And so if it interests you in this method, how do you get started? Well, some of you may work for a hospital or physician or other healthcare organization that's already on a Lean journey, but you haven't really gotten started. So my encouragement to you, and this is what I did several years ago, is I engaged with the Lean department and said, hey, I want to be in this too. Go to Lean Leader Training. It's usually offered, and bring your whole leadership team. Do a go and see trip. Go to Gemba, or the place where the work is being done at another organization or even yours where Lean has been applied, and learn how others are doing it. I think having a really good coach is essential, especially when you're starting. But if you want to be a star athlete, all star professional athletes have coaches, musicians, and so on. If you want to be a star leader, a star Lean leader, you really need a coach too. So you need the training, you need the coaching, and you need practice. Practice every single day, at least for a little while, 15, 30 minutes. You need to do it yourself. Start with a pilot in one area of your organization, whether it's one particular tool that you spread across the whole team, or one particular team that you go deep with one process improvement, and then learn and develop some credibility and spread from there. I did that 4 years ago with my systems infrastructure team, piloted there. We applied some tools like Kanban, daily management system, visual controls, Andon, PDCA, and did some training and had some intensive coaching, and we had some dramatic results in a short period of time in terms of improving productivity and employee engagement. And we learned from that, and then we spread. A company not on a Lean journey now, maybe start reading a book or two. Lean.org has an excellent selection of popular books to choose from. There are commercial training that are available worldwide for various introductory, intermediate level. Also, you can go on a trip to visit another factory or healthcare organization. Now, there's many healthcare hospitals now that are into Lean. There's probably a few hundred, maybe 50 or 100 of them that are really serious about it, and then go from there. If you're only just exploring, not really sure you want to do this, try a book, maybe go to a conference, maybe even try for yourself. One of the techniques, 5 Whys, is a simple problem-solving tool that I taught to all of my staff in my last healthcare IT team. Toyota Practical Problem-Solving Methodology, which is a great way to solve simple customer problems that, something you can solve in a day or so. PDCA or A3 is another popular tool. A3 being more advanced is a wonderful opportunity as well. Critical success factors. So to a lean approach to removing waste and creating value, I'm afraid to tell you there's no silver bullet here or easy answer. It's not so simple. This is transformational and strategic to get maximum value for your customers and to remove the most waste. It's not a one-time tactical thing. It needs a mindset shift, especially from you as a leader, as well as your direct leadership team, and only then will you be able to influence and inspire and lead the rest of your team. It boils down to you're doing your work every day. At the same time, you're spending some of your time improving focused processes where it merits your attention, and you're building and developing your people at the same time. So it's a synergistic effect of doing all three at the same time in a very systematic way that you learn through instruction, that you develop mastery through practice, and through coaching from someone who knows it far better than you. You need to overcome lots and lots of resistance from your staff, your managers, your peers and others who think it's crazy because it's so different than what they've been doing for decades. You need to build a coalition of support. You need a burning platform. You need a reason why. It's like any other organizational change, and you need quick wins. So the same rules that would apply with organization change management apply here. And you need to practice a lot, and you need to find time to do this, which is difficult, especially as busy as we are. You're going to have to make an investment, and that's a challenge. The sooner you can get a return on that investment in terms of improvement, the better. So, but practice is going to allow you to develop new habits, and it takes daily practice for many, many weeks. You really can't remove an old habit along your neurological pathways, but you can etch a new one in with repetition, just like a professional athlete. A good coach is essential, as I said before. And finally, you really, as a CIO or IT director or whatever leadership position you hold in whatever your organization, you have to lead the way. And I think you can do this even if your organization is not embraced lean. You can do it. It's not as easy, but you can go it alone for your own team and model the way, and you can see a lot of value. The greatest value will be if it's embraced at the board level, not even the CEO, but the board level. So even if there's a change at the CEO, it's sustained long-term. There's lots of examples of that with leading lean healthcare organizations, and I think of Theta Care and Virginia Mason and Salem Hospital, Seattle Children's, and many others that have embraced this at the board level, and that are really doing some great work. So I thank you very much for giving me a few minutes to share some thoughts from my perspective at a point in time as I'm on the lean journey and learning myself. It helps me to learn. I'm happy to share with you and happy to answer any questions. Anthony, I turn it over to you.
Very good, Robert. Well, what a great presentation. Lots of good information in there, and we've got some time for Q&A. So first question from the audience. Good presentation, Robert. How do you balance introducing the new lean techniques and approach while dealing with the current reality, which is chaos? As we know, it's not flipping a switch.
Yes. I think that the key thing is to start with a big vision but a small step. So you can, as a leader, see the potential of where you want to go, but recognize that the people on the ground don't get it, and they're not going to get it until they do it. So start with a step, which means small, and that means getting your leaders, your direct reports, to a training class, working with them to do something. I'm doing this now. I'm just started at Johns Hopkins Aramco Healthcare last August. I have a very receptive leadership team because some of them have lean experience, but we're starting small. I did an A3 last year over a period of a month as a way to solve a very, very, very difficult problem, and it was very effective. Also, we rolled out a daily management system, daily huddles. People were skeptical at first. Maybe some of them still are. But we're developing, trying to create value there. So start small and then grow from there.
Very good. Next question. Experiments implies trying multiple things and expecting less than 100% success. How did you change leadership's expectation about success versus failure and patience for results on what are essentially mini projects?
That is an outstanding question, and one that if I had the answer to, I would write the best-selling book. I think it's very difficult to do because culture eats strategy for lunch, as we know, and it's built into many cultures in the world today, the success versus failure. So changing a mindset that I'm going to be more like a scientist where I have a hypothesis, and what I'm really looking to do is to validate or invalidate the hypothesis, and it's not success or failure, that is different, is a very, very different mindset. And I think the only way you can get there is just to do it, one person at a time, a day at a time, and to show results. I think showing results is imperative, and especially for senior executives and middle-level managers who are skeptical. Once you show results in terms of moving the needle on metrics, in my last healthcare IDN where and I'm not going to say Lean did all this, but we implemented Lean, and we brought up an electronic health record that was very successful. Our hospital, one of our hospitals, was ranked in the top 50 cardiovascular hospitals for the first time in its history. All the hospitals now are magnet certified. We were one of the top 10 best managed revenue cycles in the nation according to HFMA. Safety and quality metrics all increased and set records. Employee engagement set a record. I mean, all the metrics went up. So I think Lean contributed to that. So I think if you move the needle on the metrics, you create believers.
Very good. What is the relationship between these Lean methodologies and initiatives and a program management and or project management office that you've seen work well?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, you know, if I look in IT PMO, the IT PMO can play a key role in helping to enable Lean, because a PMO is horizontal. It's working on cross-functional processes like project management, portfolio management, maybe governance, change management, you know, request management, things like this. And that's a good, because of that cross-functional work that's cutting across the silo functional areas, it can be a good place to embed some you know, Lean expertise and look for Lean facilitation or leadership, or at least support from the mechanics. If you're going to teach people how to do PDCA, how to do A3, if you're going to set up a daily management system and run a Kaizen event, which is a quality improvement rapid event, you can look to the PMO to provide support for all these kinds of activities.
Very good. The name Lean seems threatening to all involved. It usually means getting rid of people. How did you get around this feeling? Yeah,
that's one of you know, one of the key principles of people who embrace Lean is that you are very careful not to reduce the workforce as a result of a Lean initiative. So many of the leading healthcare organizations, if not all of them, that truly embrace Lean are really deep into it. If they do Lean work, they're not cutting people the way you think. It happens more gently through attrition, or there's a long period of time and an offer of retraining. So it's very transparent and respectful of people. So it's the respect for people is a core foundational tenet of Lean, and this means not firing people because you've improved the process. So if you don't follow that, you might as well just not start. Don't go on the journey because you're fooling yourself.
Next question. Seems to me management wants to buy the new IT solution before fixing the processes. Garbage in, garbage out. Any thoughts on understanding fixing processes before making the investments?
I believe strongly in that as a concept. You know, I think research has shown that either fix and improve the process first, then automate, or failing that, do it in parallel, and there are success stories of that too. The worst thing to do is to automate and fix later, but we all do it. So I think it's a balance, and I think it depends on your situation, but you want as much as possible to encourage and support your organization in moving those process discussions as far in front of or in parallel with the IT initiatives so that you are, you know, you're getting that value built into the system. You're automating as good a process as you can, recognizing that you're constantly pursuing perfection. No matter what you do, when you go live, you still will have lots of waste. So there still will be tons of opportunities to improve. So it's all relative.
Do you think that having learned Lean, you know, from 4 years ago when you started, you were a more confident IT leader or business leader than you were 4 years ago because you now have a framework into which you can place any kind of challenge?
Far more. I'm far more confident. I was very confident 4 years ago, and highly confident, and I'm far more confident now. I feel probably more humble now too. But I don't know that I could have, I'm working now on was probably the most difficult initiative of my career, which I wanted to do this. You know, implementing electronic health record, I'm working with people from dozens of nationalities, cultures from all over the world, speaking, you know, whose native tongues were, many of them were not English, in a foreign land. And it's extremely, extremely challenging and rewarding to have this global collaboration in healthcare. I don't know that I could have signed up for this had I not had this Lean exposure, because I believe that working with my team, we really can solve any problem or improve any process where it's possible. I do have that confidence. I know what to do. I know what tools to pick up, the philosophy to have to engage people to move forward. I can't imagine, frankly, I can't imagine leading any other way at this point.
Right.
There's no going back.
Right. Why do you embrace Lean over other methodologies that are out there?
I don't embrace Lean over others. I embrace Lean and other methodologies. So ITIL, COBIT, PMBOK, and others are complementary to Lean. Theory of constraints. I don't do much with Six Sigma, but they're all complementary. Lean is different. It's an overarching philosophy and framework for a systematic way of moving an organization towards a desired future state in a scientific way. So everything else, most of the others are reference frameworks. So ITIL, you want to know a good request management process. ITIL describes it. You can pick it off the shelf and look at it and decide that you want to maybe model your request management process, start with that as a template, and inform your process design by referring to it. That's a good thing to do. They work together.
All right, we have time for about one more question. Any thoughts on applying Lean to a project before we go?
Well, I'm doing it now. I believe strongly that Lean can apply to a project, because even though a project isn't a process, every single task in a project, if you think about it, is an experiment, because the truth is, although you may plan a project out, you really don't know what's going to happen until it's done. There's so much uncertainty and risk along the way, so many issues. So every time we say, I'm going to do X task tomorrow, and with Y result, it's really a hypothesis. So if you apply lean principles, they can absolutely help you with real-time situational awareness, engaging people, respecting your people, driving improvement every single day to help you be more efficient and effective in reaching your goal and taking risk out of the project and delivering more value at the end with fewer defects. So that's my hope.
Well, that's wonderful, Robert. I want to thank you so much for that great presentation. As I mentioned to our audience, you'll receive an email when our archive recording is ready. Should be within 2 business days, if not sooner, and a separate registration is required. Regarding those who have the CHIME CHCIO certification, attending our webinars gets you 1 CEU for each event you attend, so let CHIME know. If you've asked us to communicate it to CHIME, we will. Questions, comments, you can email me, and you can go to our website to see our past 12 months of archives and our upcoming schedule. So with that, I again want to thank Robert, our audience, and everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you.